Here, and welcome to my weekly reviews. And today we're actually going to do a review of the new movie called Two Guns, starring Mark Wahlberg, Denzel Washington, and Paul Patton. But first, I'd like to say sorry. I couldn't do a gameplay walkthrough yesterday. I didn't have time. But tomorrow I will make a special one. And today we're going to do a review of Two Guns, as I said again. So, in case you haven't heard of this movie, it's about two undercover cops who go to rob a bank that has a big drug kingpin's money inside of it. And they want to take it out so that the guy doesn't have too much money. And it turns out that Officer Bobby Beans is actually a DEA officer played by Denzel Washington, and Officer Michael Stigman is actually a military officer played by Mark Wahlberg. Once Mark Wahlberg finds this out, he shoots Denzel Washington and takes the money with him. And then they find out that the money was actually set up and it's the CIA's money. And now Beans and Stigman work together to try to find whose money it was, and try to find, well, not that, never mind that, and so they need to find out whose money it is, but along the way, men want the money so that they can get it back to the CIA. So that's the story about Two Guns. So before we get to the review, just to tell people who are vegans and PETA supporters, well, there's a scene in the movie I'll tell you about. They're at this place where the drug kingpin is, and some of the men are shooting at the chickens in the field. They're not actually shooting them, but they're shooting right near them to scare them. And then Officer Stigman, who's eating a chicken, comes up and says, "Hey, you're torturing chickens." And then Beans comes up, and then Stigman's like, "Hey, they're torturing chickens." And then he's like, "What are you doing?" And then out of nowhere, Stigman takes a gun, and then shoots all of the chickens' heads off, and they actually show it. So just if you're not a fan of that kind of stuff, don't watch it. So first, for the review, we're going to start out at the beginning of the movie. So it starts out with Stigman and Beans eating breakfast at the diner across the street from the bank they're going to rob. They're taking looks at the bank. After they have some breakfast, they burn down the diner because they think if they rob, well, I'm actually not going to tell you why they thought they needed to blow down the diner. You'll figure it out once you see the movie. If you saw someone walk by, that was my mom. Well, people thought that it was going to be the same day they blew down the diner that they were going to rob the bank afterwards. It wasn't that. Then once people found that out, they thought that they were going to go previously and then show what happened before that, and then go the same day where they were robbing the bank. That's not what happened at all. After that, they did go previously to when they were at the drug kingpin's place. Because they wanted to get cocaine from him so that they could give it to because Beans wanted to give it to the DEA so that they could have proof to arrest him, but he couldn't give them cocaine. So, then it was the chicken scene part, whatever, and there's a part in this scene where they find a head in a bag, just so you know. So then there's that part, and then after that, they go back to another previous part. Well, no, this is actually back to the same day, which is Beans and another DEA officer, portrayed by Paul Patton, having sex, just so you know. And there is some nudity in that scene. So just so you know that. After a while, Beans persuades Patton, who her name in the movie is Deb, to let him rob the bank so that they can get the money from the kingpin. It was originally Stigman's idea. So when he tells Stigman he's on board, they go and rob the bank. After they rob the bank on the way, they stop in the desert and look at their money. They find out that it's way more than 3 million. It's actually 40 million. And then when they both point guns at each other, and Stigman shoots Beans first, and Beans has a badge in his hand, and it says DEA, so that's when Stigman finds out he's DEA. And then Stigman brings the money back to his base, and his boss takes the money, but then, and they knew that Beans was DEA, so, and it was a setup. So then, when they find each other again, it's when they both go to the Kingpin's house. They want to get him, and Beans actually puts the Kingpin into his trunk, and Stigman tries to get him, and they have a car chase, but that's when they find out that they were both it was both a setup. So they go and try to find whose money it was, and along the way, as I said, they meet people who want to take back the money. Now, I'm not going to tell you the rest of it because that would be a spoiler alert. I know you guys wouldn't like that. So I actually really like this movie. The acting was great, especially for Mark Wahlberg. I'm a big Wahlberg fan, but not too much after what happened in Pain and Gain. I actually had high expectations for that movie. When I went to see it, I actually left in the middle. My mom made me. It was so violent, you wouldn't even believe it. It was so close to the end. They were chainsawing people up. I can't even believe that Mark Wahlberg and The Rock would do that kind of movie. It's a horrible movie. The beginning was good, but it's still a horrible movie in the end. It was a true story. So not that big of a Wahlberg fan anymore, not too much anymore, but I still like him. He did great in this movie. The only flaw about his character was that almost every time he opened his mouth, it was something like it would be like a joke or something. He was funny during the whole movie. It was funny, but it was weird because no one would ever just open their mouth and say something funny. It didn't make too much sense, but I liked the way he acted. I liked Paula Patton's role. She did very well. And she actually, I'm not going to tell you anything. I don't want to be a spoiler. I don't want to alert any. I don't want to spill the beans. And I thought she was a really good actor in the movie. Denzel Washington. Are you fucking kidding me?
What happened?
When it gets really long, it always stops. Like it says something went wrong. Try to reconnect. God damn it. I don't want to do it again. I did so much.
Well, because it just totally